Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. We are more than honored to be speaking with Bobby Ong. Bobby has been building in the crypto space since 2013. He's a co-founder and COO of Coin Gecko, which is, in my opinion, the leading kind of data website for the crypto space since CoinMarketCap.com was purchased by Binance. Thank you so much, Bobby, for joining us today.
Pleasure to be on the show.
So, what is new at CoinGecko?
Yeah, I think over here at CoinGecko, we always strive to keep up with the crypto market. As we all know, crypto market is a very fast-changing market. So a couple of things that we have rolled out previously in the past few months include portfolio. So before this, we didn't have a portfolio website, and we added a portfolio section where now you can kind of keep track of your crypto holdings. The thing that we did about portfolio was the recent revamp, where we sort of enable users to have multiple portfolios. So we receive feedback from users saying that they want to have portfolio A, portfolio B, portfolio C. So we say, okay, yeah, let's enable that. I think the kind of next thing for us would be to enable public facing portfolios. So for you to curate kind of like your favorite coins and then share it out in the market. So we haven't done it yet. Yeah, we have a couple of other things that we have planned up as well, but we haven't really been able to announce yet. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing more of two of our key features that we plan to put out this week, put out soon. Yeah. I mean, besides that, a couple of things that we have also rolled out was the DeFi page. So if you go to coingecko.com/DeFi, you can kind of see all the DeFi coins that is listed on CoinGecko. We've been kind of a big proponent of using the fully diluted valuation for cryptocurrencies when comparing one against the other. So we sort of added the fully diluted market cap on this page, and you kind of see how it compares against all the other coins. And we added this new ratio called the market cap over TVL, which stands for total value lock. And yeah, kind of see, we can kind of think of it like a simple PE ratio, if you may, but it's not really the same thing. But a lot of people use this market cap over TVL when comparing DeFi coins. So that's kind of what we add on this page as well. So yeah, these are some of the things. We are quite focused, quite big into DeFi, very excited about the prospects for DeFi tokens.
What is some of the favorite data you like to look at when you're just taking a look at the overall crypto markets?
Yeah, so I think some interesting data that I look at, I mean, the one that I look at pretty much every day is at the start of my day is the price of Bitcoin, because it kind of gives a general barometer of how well the crypto market is doing. So if Bitcoin's price up, like generally it's a good signal. The other metric that I like to look at is also the total market cap for all cryptocurrencies. So it's an interesting value to see where things stand for all the other coins. I also look at the Bitcoin dominance number. So we want to see like at what stage, where are we relative to in the altcoin market cycle. In terms of individual coins, I always kind of look at market cap, fully diluted market cap, fully diluted valuation when comparing coins. So I mean, when deciding which coins to buy, I always like to see whether it makes sense to, what's the fully diluted valuation, and I compare them against like comparables. So for example, if I'm looking at like DeFi tokens, for example, Uniswap versus SushiSwap, you compare them against each other based on those metrics. But for decentralized exchanges tokens, like I will also look at some of these, the volume that these exchanges are doing. So how much volume is Uniswap doing? How much volume is SushiSwap doing, and then count them. I think for these ratios, some of them, they also look at price over sales ratio. So how much revenue or earnings attributed to the token holders. But I don't, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, there's a lot of analysis involved. So yeah, I think there's some of these things. So like market cap, fully diluted valuation, TVL, total value lock, a bunch of other things as well. And compare them against each other. You want to benchmark against the other, I would say.
And what do you use this information for? Are you trading? Or are you just trying to keep track of the general health of the ecosystem?
So yeah, it depends, right? So if it's just Bitcoin price and the total crypto market cap, It's just general health of the ecosystem. But these are things that I generally, the metrics that I mentioned earlier, those things, I kind of use them for trading, like to make like buy or sell decisions. I mean, of course, you have to take a look at TA as well, but just to take a look and see whether it's kind of it's a good price to buy or kind of wait and see how it goes. Yeah, kind of using that as a way to determine, mainly for trading, I would say.
You made a prediction at the end of last year that Bitcoin could surge to $100,000. What makes you believe that?
Indeed, I did make this prediction. I think if you look at the Bitcoin price chart, and instead of looking at it on a linear scale, look at it on a logarithmic scale, and look at it from a timeline from, I think, 2013 or so, basically the time when CoinGecko started tracking Bitcoin price. I think if you look and extrapolate the charts on a logarithmic scale, I think you can quite clearly see that there are two very strong support and resistance lines on the upward sloping curve, upward sloping line on the logarithmic scale. And the line seems to indicate that it will hit 100K this year, towards the end of the year. So that's kind of where I'm seeing things are going. I think this year will be an interesting year. I mean, based on based on logarithmic scale, like seems like it's a hit 100K. But if you look at the fundamental reason, like on the narrative in the market and all, I think this year we'll see a lot of institutions buying into Bitcoin. We have already seen how MicroStrategy been purchased over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor is continuously adding on to his position. Like every time there's a dip, he keeps on buying a few $1 million worth of Bitcoin. And you see like Square, PayPal supporting cryptocurrencies. I think it's just a matter of time before more companies start holding Bitcoin. I think I've got a gut feeling that Tesla will start having Bitcoin on its treasury this year. A lot of companies are accumulating Bitcoin and just waiting to complete their purchase before they announce it. So I think it's just a matter of time in the next few months where a lot of large public listed companies will announce that they have a large treasury holding, and this, in my opinion, will sort of drive Bitcoin to above $100,000.
What has surprised you this year as far as the crypto markets are concerned?
It's just 1 month since the start of the year, but it's been quite an eventful year. I'm just trying to think back what was surprising so far. I think what was surprising. I think if you think about it, like the algorithmic stablecoins, we kind of knew that it would kind of blow up, but what surprised me so far this year is if you look at algorithmic stablecoins like ESD, DSD, Basis, and so on, like everything's kind of doing so badly, so fast that like things kind of inflated quite quickly and then kind of deflated and went off quite quickly. It's kind of like the yield farm of the summer of 2020, where kind of, I mean, that lasted a bit longer than this whole thing this time around. So yeah, I think that was what surprised me this year. I thought it would last a bit more longer. Also, I guess you can say that the bull market is really strong this year. I thought it would probably take in a few more months into the year before it continues going stronger. But like seems like altcoin season is here and everything's going really strong now.
What was most exciting about getting CoinGecko.com/DeFi up, and what do you think the importance of that data is for the overall market?
So a lot of people were interested in DeFi, and we were. I mean, if you think about it, we were early in the DeFi space. So early last year, sometime in March, we published the first DeFi book called How to DeFi. Back then, nobody was talking about DeFi except for the core people in the space, and we thought it was interesting, and we wanted to find a way to kind of educate people in the space. So we kind of wrote the book. Summer of 2020, everything kind of took off, and things started going crazy once yield farming became a thing. So we did two things. We have the DeFi page up, and it allowed us to easily track all the coins in the DeFi space. But we also added this yield farming page, and that was kind of a thing where we used to kind of see all the cryptocurrencies that are that have yield farming opportunities. And these opportunities were pretty lucrative last year. Was quite common to see farms with 1,000% APY or up to 10,000%. So those are things that we were hunting around ourselves, trying to farm, and well, we wanted to build tools that were beneficial to ourselves. So we did that for the market as well.
What implications do DeFi protocols have for Ethereum in general? And do you see a bullish case to be made for Ethereum moving forward?
Yeah, I think Ethereum's interesting, right? So it's kind of like, if you look at all the interesting applications built so far, like everything's sort of on built on top of Ethereum. The developer mindshare is on Ethereum. No other layer one chains come even close to competing against Ethereum. So I think if things go on, like it's definitely a bullish case for Ethereum. And I think there will be a re-rating of cryptocurrencies. If you look at the top 20 cryptocurrencies in the market right now, you are seeing a few layer one chains that really doesn't have much activity. And if you compare that against some of these DeFi tokens, DeFi protocols, they have so much more activity than any of these layer one chain. So I sort of expect re-rating and some of these tokens to do well this year. So especially the DeFi tokens.
DeFi tokens, I think it's very interesting looking at coingecko.com/DeFi and seeing how that market shakes out without some of the usual suspects included, with something like Chainlink that's leading in terms of, I guess, market cap currently, correct?
Yeah, that's
For
right.
the whole market. Yeah, can you kind of speak to like what you found interesting when you saw this data presented after you extrapolated the DeFi market from the overall crypto market?
I think what you can see is that you can see how this market grow and all, right? So a lot of these tokens, they I think what I would say is that I think it's interesting because you start focusing on the coins that are doing interesting stuff, right? So you can see what their market cap and how their fully diluted valuation would be for some of these tokens. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I've had a lot of friends reach out to me who are not into the crypto market who have become quite interested in DeFi, and they're mentioning things like Rune to me and Aave, which I found quite interesting that they would acknowledge or find these tokens interesting having come from outside. So I think that looking at coingecko.com/DeFi, it's pretty illuminating on how that market is shaping up. Now, when it comes to your personal view of the overall crypto and blockchain industry, are you mostly a Bitcoiner, or are you, or as some call it, do you tend towards Bitcoin maximalism? Or do you think that there are going to be some amazing opportunities, both from a use case perspective and then, of course, from a speculative perspective when it comes to some of these altcoins or DeFi coins?
Yeah, so I started my journey with Bitcoin. So I think back in 2013 or so, I purchased my first Bitcoin, and Bitcoin to me is like the reserve currency of crypto. It will always be there, and everything's sort of denominated in terms of Bitcoin. That's why, like when I said at the start, which data point I look at, I sort of look at the Bitcoin price first when I look at the market, because if Bitcoin is doing well, everything sort of will do well, and vice versa. So I look at Bitcoin, and if you ask me if I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, the short answer is no, I'm not a maximalist. I believe in a world where there will be millions of tokens. Actually, we now track about 6,000 tokens, but I foresee a future where anything that can be tokenized will be tokenized, and we will live in a world where there will be millions and millions of tokens in the world. So I don't see a world where there will only be Bitcoin, but I see a world where many other tokens will coexist with each other, and but Bitcoin will be the reserve currency of them all. So that's why I'm excited about all the exciting things that DeFi protocols have. I think coming back to your point earlier, I'm glad that your friend kind of found it interesting, DeFi token. A lot of newbies, when they come into the space, they kind of they look at XRP, which is kind of like pretty shocking if you think about it, that SEC has mentioned that they are security, and they have conducted unregulated securities offering for the past couple of years. But yeah, I think it's interesting that Bitcoin, I think, is interesting. It's sort of a store. I look at it as a store of value. It's sort of as we look at our governments printing money every other year, trying to inflate the economy, like the dollar and every other currency will sort of go down in value. So Bitcoin is kind of like the hedge against inflation, and I look at it that way, and that's the reason why I hold Bitcoin. But Bitcoin as it is, as by itself, it doesn't really do much thing. Like you can't really do much, and you can't yield farm with it. You have to kind of convert them into tokenized form on Ethereum, and there's a lot of more interesting things that you can do on Ethereum. So for me, Bitcoin is kind of like a long-term hold. It's a store of value, and then everything else is interesting things. You can kind of build interesting apps and protocol apps on top of all the other, especially on Ethereum, I would say.
In a world of millions of tokens, what role would CoinGecko play?
Yeah, so we foresee a future where there will be millions of tokens, and it's really hard for anybody to keep track of it. So that's where we come in, right? We come in to sort of help aggregate and simplify the process of curating information for all these different cryptocurrencies. If you think about it, like Bitcoin, the crypto space, when we started CoinGecko in 2013, we started by tracking only 20 cryptocurrencies, and now we have 6,000 plus cryptocurrencies. That's kind of an order of magnitude larger than where we were. And what I think we will be heading is we're still another order or 2 orders of magnitude away from where it will eventually be. And it's going to be really hard trying to keep track of all these things in the market. So we hope to be the place where people come in and track all these different cryptocurrencies, not just on one chain, Ethereum, but on all the different chains. And there will be like ERC20, there will be NFTs and different kind of tokens out there in the market. And that's how we hope we can help track this market moving forward.
How do you use CoinGecko.com to track the market today? What's perhaps a average day look like for you?
Yeah, so for me, I go to the homepage and kind of do a quick scan of all the token price, But generally, I click on my portfolio, which is basically a list of favorited coins that I want to track. So I kind of skim through the price and see how they're doing, and then I usually trade. So I have some limit orders to buy or to sell a particular coin and see to scheme whether they've been hit by the exchanges. So yeah, that's kind of how I take a look at the market and on a day-to-day basis.
Has CoinGecko grown since CoinMarketCap was purchased by Binance?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone who is very active in crypto has sort of made the switch to CoinGecko. I think for us this year there's still a lot of people who are not active, like casual crypto users who haven't made the switch to CoinGecko yet. So that's kind of where we want to try to reach out to these guys and get them to switch. But yeah, definitely we have seen huge growth since the purchase. I think last year was really driven by DeFi. We made a few decisions that were kind of good as well. So we kind of rode the DeFi wave and managed to track a lot of the small tokens traded on Uniswap and Balancer, and kind of rode the wave, I would say.
Can you walk us through those decisions?
Yeah, so if you one of the so CoinGecko and other aggregators like us, our competitors basically, we built to basically track data from centralized exchanges. Back then, there wasn't that. It was mostly centralized exchanges like Coinbase, Poloniex, Bittrex, and Binance, and so on. So it was quite easy to track data from centralized exchanges because centralized exchanges will provide REST API for us to kind of consume the data and get the price volume for each token traded on these exchanges. But when it comes to decentralized exchanges, basically the rise of DeFi last year, if you look at all the DEXs that came out, so there's Uniswap, there's Curve, there's Balancer, then there's SushiSwap, and so on. Like when we ask these guys, like these developers, like, hey, can we get an API to kind of plug in your data onto CoinGecko? And they say, well, just really on chain, just get it from the Ethereum blockchain. It sounds quite easy to pull, but like when the infrastructure of an aggregator is not built to read on-chain data to get the price volume of all these things, like that became kind of a big infrastructure issue. And how do we go around getting this data? So thankfully, we found out that this data can be obtained from a provider called the Graph. So the Graph developers will help curate some of this information onto a subgraph, and we could use the subgraph to get the data and kind of put them and aggregate onto CoinGecko. So we figure out a way how to read the subgraph and get the price volume for these different cryptocurrencies traded on decentralized exchanges. And that's how we managed to integrate Uniswap, Balancer, Curve first on CoinGecko, and managed to add all the different new coins that were launched last year. So that kind of made everyone in the space sort of use CoinGecko last year, and this continued on.
Being privy to all this DeFi data as you are, has anything stood out to you over the past year about the space?
Yeah, I think I'm continuously surprised, or maybe I shouldn't say surprised, that DeFi tokens have gone up so much and they keep going up. Some people like to use the word that even though the price has gone up, it just gets cheaper and cheaper valuation wise, because these DeFi tokens, they have users, and the user base keep increasing, and more liquidity is locked in these protocols, more volume is done on these centralized exchanges. So even though this price has gone up, it has never been cheaper fundamentally to buy any of these DeFi tokens. So I guess that's the one thing that kind of stood out. One big metric that I like to kind of quote and use was that if you look at 2020, at the start of the year, like centralized exchanges like Coinbase, Binance were doing, let's just say $1 billion in daily trading volume. And that was like probably 10, 100 times more than any volume done by any other decentralized exchanges. But like at the end of 2020, the volume done by Uniswap is as high as the volume done by Coinbase on a day-to-day basis. So that was by far the biggest surprise for me, like how much volume that a DEX like Uniswap could do. And if you ask me at the start of last year, if I could imagine a decentralized exchange like Uniswap would do as much volume as Coinbase, I would say I would not have foreseen that. And when we've seen that Uniswap has done so much volume, and decentralized exchanges sort of like became a viable alternative to centralized exchanges, when before that it was not even possible. It was kind of unthinkable, if you may. Yeah.
And you predicted at the end of last year that we very well could see DeFi apps launching on other layer one platforms than Ethereum, such as Serum and Polkadot. You wrote on Twitter, you tweeted, hard for me to imagine any other L1 platforms gaining a foothold. We will see a multi-chain MetaMask-like wallet, making it easier to connect to multiple blockchains. Could you take us through that line of reasoning, and especially why you are optimistic about the future of Serum and Polkadot?
Yeah, so Serum's started by Sam right, by the FTX and the FTX team. So I think the guys there are really aggressive, and Sam has been very much talking to all the DeFi protocols, trying to get them to build on a different different layer one platform. I mean, the main problem with Ethereum is these DeFi apps are all on Ethereum, but Ethereum does not scale well, or at least maybe hasn't found a good solution to scalability yet. So it's quite common these days to pay 15, 20, $30, I think is quite a common fee, to $30 to $50 to pay to make a simple swap on Uniswap. And for most whales, like paying $30 to swap like I don't know, like a few $1,000 is nothing. Is okay. But like if you're not a whale, if you are just a beginner trying to participate in DeFi and you want to swap like $100 of Aave to compound token, and you have to pay $30 in fees, that's obviously not sustainable. When we all started DeFi, gas fees were low and we were paying 50 cents or so for a swap. But now it's just super expensive. So Ethereum definitely has a scalability problem. Fees are way too high. I expect layer 2 solutions to emerge on Ethereum this year. Optimism and ZK Rollup mainly would be the key competitors this year, and we should see who will kind of have the lead. A lot of DeFi apps are sort of looking at Optimism this year, but I think ZK Rollup is going to go up later this year and might try to post a thread. But that's why we are looking at all these other layer 1 protocols, right? Like these platforms offer higher throughput, lower fees, and it will be quite ideal to have order book based DEX and other things on these platforms. So I think it'd be interesting to see. Like I think Polkadot and Serum would be interesting ones to watch this year. Polkadot's kind of the big thing. A lot of new projects launching on Polkadot. It has a very strong foothold in China. Pretty much the whole China has sort of switched the narrative from EOS is the next layer 1 chain to Polkadot is the next layer 1 chain. So a lot of teams are building on Polkadot from China. So we may see some interesting things there. Dr. Gavin Wood from Polkadot, as you know, was the co-founder of Ethereum as well. He started Ethereum and kind of he did Polkadot as a way to kind of have ETH2 and so on a faster basis. So it'd be interesting to see how they go Polkadot. And Serum, back to Serum, right? I think Sam will get some of these DeFi apps to kind of port over to Serum as well. Not to move over completely, but to have it functioning on 2 chains, on Ethereum and also on Serum. And I've been talking to a few different DeFi app developers as well, and they are all thinking along the same line. They're thinking of building on top of a separate chain and having cross collaboration on a separate chain. I think interconnected blockchains will be a thing, and we should see how this go on. To the last statement on how there will be a MetaMask-like wallet connecting them all. Like I think if you look at Ethereum, we all use MetaMask to sort of connect to the Ethereum chain, but MetaMask doesn't support multiple chains at this point in time. I mean, technically you can by making some changes to the RPCs and all, but for many of these layer 1 solutions, you sort of have to install another wallet. And I don't really want to have like 5-6 different Chrome extensions, just want to interact with these different chains. I think there will be one wallet that can kind of allow you to interact with all these different chains. So let's see if something comes out this year.
You also have predicted that DeFi derivatives will have a good 2021. This is very interesting because I think that we will see indeed derivatives, particularly in the wake of GameStop. I think we will see derivatives on DeFi capturing the popular imagination. Could you speak a little to DeFi derivatives in 2021?
Yeah, sure. So I think if you look at the spot market, Uniswap, SushiSwap, Curve has shown that like, hey, there's no reason why like these guys on decentralized on decentralized finance, these DeFi DEXs cannot compete against the centralized exchanges. They can compete on liquidity, on price and volume, and so on. It's not as much. It may be as more competitive to swap $1 million on Uniswap versus if you want to move from Ethereum to WBTC on Uniswap as compared to swapping it on a centralized exchange. It may be less slippage actually. So if you look at it, like the derivative space is still very much centralized exchange dominated. It started with BitMEX having the lead for a long time, and then as BitMEX started going down last year, Binance Futures sort of took over the crown of the leading decentralized leading derivatives platform. And there's also the competitors like Bybit, Huobi, OKX, in terms of the perpetual swap, and FTX, of course. I think this year will be interesting for DeFi derivatives. There have been a few different platforms that have been launched and operational. DYDX is the oldest of them all. We have FutureSwap, we have perpetual futures, perpetual perp.fee, and a few different teams coming out to compete against this to build in this space. I think so far there is no clear winner in this space yet, unlike how Uniswap has been the clear runaway winner for spot trading in the DEX space. So I think it's a lot of competition, and to see who can win the mind share of the crypto community. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how perpetual swaps will move to decentralized flavor as well. Options is also an interesting one. The leader so far is Deribit, but really the options market is really just on Bitcoin. There's Ether options on Deribit, but not as much liquidity there. I think we all want options. We want to buy put call options on many of these smaller tokens, but there is no way to do that at this point in time. The main problem with this would be the liquidity for options. Who's going to be the counterparty if you want to buy options on Uniswap, for example? So I think there will be interesting solutions. Some will make use of the automated market maker AMM model to kind of bootstrap liquidity. Hedgex, one of them, who tried doing it for Bitcoin and Ether options. But I think it'll be interesting to see which model will emerge as kind of the leader in the space for options, how it will be done, in terms of pricing, in terms of liquidity, how do you bootstrap this market, and so on. So yeah, I sort of expect this space to grow this year.
I think something that maybe a lot of people don't know about you, Bobby, is that you're a research fellow at Singapore University in social science, and you've written 3 chapters and 2 digital currency books. So I'm kind of curious, could you speak to how your research as a social scientist informs your blockchain and crypto understanding?
So yeah, actually, yeah, more like a fellow, and I so this came about from my relationship with Professor by the name of Professor David Lee, who's a professor in SUSS. Knew him when he was previously teaching at Singapore Management University, and he reached out. This was in the early days in 2013 or 2014. We just started CoinGecko at that point in time. 2014, I think. We just started CoinGecko at that point in time, and he invited us to go to Singapore to have a chat and just because the crypto community in Asia at that point in time was really small. So we met him and he kind of encouraged us to, he told us that he was writing a book on Bitcoin, on cryptocurrency, digital currencies. And he encouraged us to sort of write a chapter together with him in the book. And so yeah, that's kind of what we did. We have some data from CoinGecko, put them together and kind of contributed a chapter in his book. A couple of years later, he wrote us a follow-up book, and he asked us to do the same again, and that's what we did, write some research. I think our research was on ways of evaluating alternative cryptocurrencies. Back then, we were giving a lot of focus on looking at how active a community is on Facebook and Twitter and Reddit. and there were a lot of metrics that we tracked, and we were kind of comparing if these metrics made an impact in the price at some point in the future. We also look at the developer stats on GitHub, how many commits, how many pull requests, how many issues, and kind of see if they made an impact. But things have changed very significantly since then. Like I think back then, launching a token wasn't the easiest thing to do. It was kind of have to replicate Bitcoin, and it was all proof of work back then. But these days with Ethereum, like everyone's just launching tokens on top of Ethereum, so you don't really have to worry about network security and all. But layer one coins have to worry about 51% attack every day. They have to worry about not being attacked by miners. Yeah, so that's kind of a good thing with Ethereum, and so yeah, those sort of research were some of the things that we did back then.
What are some of the tokens that you're most excited about from a tech perspective?
I would say that, I mean, my two favorite coins and two of my biggest holdings are Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin because of the store value narrative and the first cryptocurrency, and Ethereum because it just enables so much composability that you can kind of do so many things on top of Ethereum. People kind of like don't really see that yet. But beyond those two interesting ones, these are the common answers. I'm interested in DeFi, right? So I like to say that a lot of these things enables, like, I mean, if you think about it, like DeFi is sort of enabling a lot of everything from the traditional finance is being replicated in a decentralized manner in DeFi. So I would say that a lot of these things are some of my interesting tokens. I'm paying a lot of attention to stablecoins. So I think there will be, I mean, the stablecoin market has been dominated by Tether, which is a centralized entity, and there's been a lot of controversies around Tether. So a lot of teams are trying to build alternatives to this. DAI is kind of like one way where people have over collateralized and then they borrow money and they issue DAI from it. I'm interested in some of these like algorithmic stablecoins like Frax, for example, where instead of having over collateralization, you have fractional collateralization. So a portion of which is collateralized by USDC and a portion by a volatile utility governance token, Frax share. I think that's interesting. I think there'll be a lot more flavors around that model moving forward. We just don't know how it would pan out. I think lending and borrowing protocols are interesting, RVA and Compound. I'm excited to see, again, the same thing is on over collateralization. I'm excited to see how or if these platforms can navigate to a future where there will be fractional or zero collateral. Can you borrow money in crypto without putting anything up as collateral, similar to how we do in the traditional world, in the real world, where you can kind of borrow some money from the bank without any collateral if you have a good credit rating. So I think the biggest part for this would be how do you enable trust or your identity. So building a digital identity portion is sort of important. And I think that's kind of a missing component at this point in time yet, and we should see how this pan out.
So for somebody who wants to keep a close eye on the crypto markets on a day-to-day basis and really dig in depth to the data, how would you recommend they approach CoinGecko.com when they first wake up?
Yeah, so I always tell people that they should subscribe to the CoinGecko newsletter, because what we do is that we curate 3 top news in the crypto market every day, and it's kind of easier that way to kind of read the news from us, because we sort of curate the 3 top news. Otherwise, there are just so much news in the space. I remember the time back in 2013 when it was possible to read every single news article about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies for the day, but now it's sort of impossible. There's just so much things happening. So yeah, read the newsletter that we publish. We have a quarterly report that we put out as well that kind of gives you a good summary of what happened in the past quarter, and then kind of take a look at the market and pick a coin and just go deep into it, learn what they do, and understand the mechanics of how it works, and play and interact with those tokens. I think the easiest way to learn is to just set aside some money and to pay the gas fee and interact with it. It's one thing to read about a protocol, but it's another thing to kind of see it action in real time and see how things work. So I always find myself learning a lot more once I interact with the protocol. So that's what I encourage people to do as well.
And then like going section by section, like what are some of the most useful ones do you think? Like I'm just looking at coingecko.com currently and I'm at the menu and of course some there's lots of different tabs that one could explore, like market cap, large movers. That seems very useful. Crypto index as well, stable coins, DeFi. I mean, what are some of your favorite ones? Which one do you find yourself clicking on more than the others?
Yeah, I think the CoinGecko product has sort of evolved a lot over the time, and we have added a lot of features, and different features cater to different power users. My personal favorite is the portfolio section. I personally curate my list of favorite coins, and I kind of look at that every day. And then I dive deep into a coin, right? So, for example, if I look at Alpha token. Alpha Finance, right, or any other coins, I always look at their fully diluted valuation, their circulating, their market cap, and the total value log, and then the ratios, market cap over TVL, fully diluted over TVL, and then kind of compare them against each other, against other coins as well. I look at a chart a lot, so looking at the price changes in 30 days, 180 days, and so on. I look at the yield farming page, I would say, under markets farms, because I do some farming as well. So I kind of look at what are some of the highest pools at this point in time. I make use of the APY calculator to kind of determine if I put like $10,000 at 100% APY, how much I will get on a daily or weekly basis. I look at the impermanent loss calculator to sort of kind of estimate how much risk I'm taking if any of this has a impermanent loss. So yeah, these are some of the tabs that I make use of.
What's some of the feedback you've gotten on CoinGecko.com over the years? How have others used it? Has anybody ever described to you the way in which they use CoinGecko.com that you found interesting or insightful?
Yeah, I think there's just so many feedback. I just don't even know where to start. We get a lot of suggestions on how we can improve, and we are very open to hearing feedback and suggestions. So we always encourage people to let us know what you would like to see, and if we start seeing a trend, we would sort of improve that over time. I think some feedback that we receive is that people have been asking us for a portfolio for the longest time. So I'm glad that we managed to put our portfolio. But different people everyone has their own way of looking at the crypto market. There is no right and wrong way. Some things we can kind of implement it. Some things they're just so unique to an individual user that we just can't implement it. Some other feedback that we received a lot was the fully diluted valuation. A lot of people, especially among the investor communities, wanted to kind of get an easy way of comparing the fully diluted valuation for the different coins. So we sort of added that in. And then we also integrated the DeFi Pulse and DeFi Llama to sort of get the total value log for all these different DeFi protocols. And that was also a very highly requested feature. So we kind of did that to kind of improve the usability of the site.
So I see here at the top of CoinGecko.com that you have your brand new multi-portfolio. It's officially live. From long-term holdings to short-term speculation, CoinGecko's new multi-portfolio feature has got you covered. Can you tell us how it's got the users covered and the thought process between launching this new service?
Yeah, so a lot of people wanted a way to sort of easily add the coins that they have purchased and the price for the price and the date where they purchase them. So we made an easy way for you to add the coins when the amount that you bought it, the time, the day that you bought it, and then kind of record them in like a simple journal on CoinGecko. And you can add the buy, sell for all the different coins. And then we allow you to add multiple portfolios. So then you can kind of track, like maybe this could be account A, which is like DeFi portfolio, account B, which is like a layer one portfolio. So it sort of allows you to track all these things in an easy manner.
Have you been using it and how have you found it useful?
I personally, I prefer tracking my trading in Excel, Google Sheets. That's kind of my personal preference. But some people don't like to use Excel and they prefer to have a portfolio, like an app to key in all this information. And that's where CoinGecko is built to cater to them. The portfolio for me, I just use it to kind of have a filter of my favorite coins that I look at on a day-to-day basis. So I don't key in my purchase and my sales, but I key in. I look at the coins which I have that I favored and look at it on a day-to-day basis.
I'm looking at the website right now and I see that you have the trending section as well, the largest gainers and losers in crypto. Can you kind of take me through the development of this page and also how do you use this?
Yeah, so I think the trending search was one of the big thing that we launched last year. We noticed that a lot of people were sort of using the CoinGecko search bar, and we thought that it'd be interesting to capture the stats on to see which coins were most searched on CoinGecko. So that's what we did. We kind of go around and search and track the number of searches, and then we display the trending search. And this is an interesting stat which we kind of distribute to some of the media publications every week, and people kind of look at this as kind of a snapshot to see which coins are kind of trending of interest in the community these days.
How might a user of the website use this large mover
Oh, okay. You're talking
section?
about large mover. I was talking about the trending search on the search bar.
Oh yeah,
Um,
got it. Yeah, so that's cool. So that's interesting. So you track that internally, what coins are being searched the most.
yeah. That's what was interesting, because I mean, if you think about it, like everyone who searched, I mean, at this point in time, like 1inch polka dots at the trending search, right? It shows that there's a lot of interest in these two tokens. Maybe because there's a huge increase in the price or a huge decrease in price, generally speaking. But yeah, that's kind of a good way to see what coins are sort of the most people in crypto space is interested in at any one point in time.
And so for a user to see which coins are being searched the most, do you simply just click on the search bar and then you see the trending search that pops down?
That's right.
That's quite interesting, actually, and useful. And then, yes, indeed, you've got the coingecko.com slash coin slash trending. Can you tell me a little bit about this and how you might use this or how one might use this?
Yeah, I think this some people wanted to know which coins were the largest gainers or largest losers for the day. Basically, people who were hunting for among the small altcoins. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for like the largest gainer, like, or some people like to buy coins that have gone down a lot in price and then kind of pick them up, hopefully for the small pump after that. So yeah, some people look at this as a way to search for gems, I would say.
Gems in terms of, like, for instance, intuitively, when I look at this site and I see that you've got the largest gainers, the top gainers, by then it's already too late for one to start buying this. This is might be akin to purchasing GameStop at $300, for instance. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, some people were asking us for this stats. So like, if they ask it, like we just give it to them. Like, make do what you may with this data. I don't know what you want to do with it, but yeah, that's kind of what we do. I mean, we have the data. We're just putting them out in a way where people can easily get this information.
And then, so from your perspective, then, do you ever go to the top losers and take a look around? And if you do, what do you find interesting about that section? Like, if I'm looking
Uh,
at some of these coins, they've got like 72.3% loss in the last 24 hours, for instance.
I don't look at this on a day-to-day basis. I don't really go around hunting for top gainers or losers. I just have a few of my favorite coins, and then I kind of focus on them. It's just so hard to keep track of so many coins, but different people. Some people like hunting these small cap coins, so that's good for them, I would say, but not really my cup of tea.
Beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum, then, like, what are some of the features of a coin or token that stand out to you the most? Like, for instance, for me, I guess I would say that the technology is certainly number one by far. And the way that you learn about the technology is by learning about the team. You learn about some of the financiers of a project. You read as much as you well. How the project presents the tech too can inform you a lot about how seriously they take the development process. And like for instance, I've done quite a bit of research, and it's always stuck out to me that Tezos actually has an interesting tech stack, and I think that it has a more interesting tech stack than it gets credit for. For instance, that's not a
Mhm.
Tezos recommendation by any means, but I'm just saying as an example. So for you, what makes a project stick out?
Yeah, I think the points that you brought up, some of the points that I look at as well. The tech must be strong, and how they explain the tech. If they can't even explain it in an easy manner, so like no one's going to be able to understand them. And I generally like to interact with it, so play with some of their software, their wallets, the protocols, and see how easy it is to use them. And also, if people I like to get the sentiment of the community, so to see if others are also looking at their tag, if they're playing with it, if they're bullish on it. Because if I'm the only person interested in the tag and no one else is interested, that means it probably wouldn't go too far as well. So yeah, I look at all these things, and the community aspect as well.
Do you have any concluding comments about how somebody who's stumbling upon CoinGecko for the first time might go about interacting with the website to learn about the crypto industry?
Um, Yeah, I think if someone's new, like there's a steep learning curve. I'm constantly training new people in CoinGecko, and it's always a constant struggle. I think just read up as much as you can and play with these protocols. Like the more you play them and you read up, I think you get a better hang of things.
Do you have any concluding comments on CoinGecko in general? What can we expect? What's new?
Yeah,
Predictions?
I think there'll be new features as we roll out. A lot of people ask us what's our 5 years plan. We don't really know what would happen in 5 years time, but we know that crypto is constantly innovating, constantly changing, and we'll be here to kind of keep track of the market because that's kind of the aim. We want to help users to navigate a future where there'll be millions and millions of tokens. So that's kind of where we are. So we'll be adding more features to track the market as the market matures, and that's where the direction of CoinGecko will be.
Where can people find you other than at coingecko.com?
Yeah, you can follow our social media, Twitter, Instagram at CoinGecko. If you want to talk to us, we have a group on Telegram at CoinGecko as well. Yeah, and if you need to contact me directly, I'm at Bobby Ong on Twitter.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for sitting down with us today to discuss CoinGecko and crypto data in general. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.